How long will this cold spell last? Will you see any snowfall, and how low will the temperatures get? Try and answer all of those questions in this more in-depth look at the weather throughout this week. There are some signs of it turning milder as we go towards the weekend, but certainly for the next few days, cold will be the main theme. Ice and snow are also expected. Here's the bigger picture. This is the satellite image from Sunday lunchtime. What we've seen over the past 24 hours or so is this little swirl in here developing into quite an area of low pressure as it approached the southwest of England through Sunday night. Many of my colleagues here at the Met Office were woken up by the rain caused by this, but it wasn't just rain. There was some snowfall, certainly over Dartmoor. That low has since worked its way through the English Channel and brought a very wet and windy start to the southeast of England, to the working week and East Anglia. Let's look at the radar and you can see that in more detail. Here's the wet weather through the course of Sunday night and into Monday. That low working its way across the English Channel and brought a very wet start to the southeast and East Anglia. There was some snow mixed in with it, mostly over hills, mostly at low levels. It was kind of sleet and just really cold rain. It is now pivoting away. However, all parts of the UK are now in the colder air. So this wet weather that's been sinking southwards across southeast Scotland and northeast England, that did bring some snowfall for a time through the course of Monday morning, particularly in the Newcastle area. It's an old weather front just drifting its way southwards. It is now fizzling out as well. But what's not fizzling out are these showers, just a whole raft of showers. You can feel the northerly wind there in that radar. Just all of these pretty much falling as snow across northern parts of Scotland. So how does that pan out in terms of the next kind of 24 hours? Stick with me here because it is a bit messy. It's a bit bitty. Different parts of the UK are going to be affected differently. We're all cold, but will you see any snow showers? Let's take a look at the next 24 hours in some detail. That wet and windy weather across the southeast, that is pulling away. But notice in here, that's where we have that old weather front that did bring some snow to parts of northeast England, still providing a mixture of rain, sleet and snow for the next few hours. But during Monday afternoon, it sinks southwards, could bring some sleet and snow for a time to parts of Norfolk, but it does fizzle out pretty quickly. Pause it there and zoom to the north because, as already discussed, those showers in northern Scotland will just keep on coming in. We've got northerly winds, so snow showers packing in here as we go through the rest of the afternoon, through the evening and overnight. And we could see, just notice this swirl here heading its way towards Shetland. The wind's picking up, more snow showers to come across Shetland, already been quite badly affected. More on that in a moment because we do need to keep an eye on that little circulation. As I said, more on that in a moment because elsewhere we are still seeing snow showers coming in, clearing away from the east, but more coming into the west. So we've had quite a few already. Let's just rewind back to this afternoon, this evening. The showers on a northerly wind coming into Northern Ireland. Also sleet and snow. In fact, mostly snow inland, maybe some sleet on the coast. And notice the winds just funneling the showers across the extreme southwest of Scotland, but also down through the Irish Sea to into this zone here. Parts of northwest England and North Wales could see some snow showers, or will see some snow showers overnight and into the morning. So lots going on. The snow clearing away from the eastern parts of England, but more snow showers coming into northern Scotland. And then we have these snow showers coming into Northern Ireland, northwest England and North Wales. Now we're talking showers, which means they're going to be hit and miss. So it doesn't mean everyone in this area is going to see snowfall. But where we see these snow showers coming in, they could easily drop a couple of centimetres of snow even to low levels, and over hills maybe as much as 10 centimetres of snowfall. It could cause some problems. And of course, you've got the extra issue of things being rather icy as temperatures fall away. Now, speaking of ice, let's just head down to the southwest because that is likely to be an issue here. Let's just pull it back again and look at what happens through the rest of the afternoon. Now, the southwest of England hit by the heavy rain overnight with some hill snow. As we go through the evening and overnight, just notice the showers just kind of get themselves together a bit more. There's also a hint of an area of low pressure in here. So more wet weather to come across parts of Devon and Cornwall tonight. That is mostly going to be rain, but again, over the moors, there could be a little bit of snow. But the problem here, is that as that wet weather clears away through the early hours, temperatures will fall away. That rain may well wash any salt off the road, so the potential for things to be quite icy here. So, as I said, it is a bit bitty about where we could see some sleet and some snowfall. Let's take a look at the warnings that we have in place. Let's just pause it there. So we have this warning across northern Scotland for the snow and ice. And that's not just for today. If we fast forward to Wednesday, that warning is still in place. And in fact, we may need to look at Scotland, especially during Tuesday. And I'll get onto that in a moment, where there is more snow likely and may well come down the eastern side. More on that in a second. Let's get back to the warnings as they stand at the moment, because we have this warning also for Northern Ireland and for northwest England. In here, as I said, a couple of centimetres of snow at low levels, 10 centimetres on the hills. In this warning area across northern Scotland, we could see 15 centimetres of snow, certainly on hills above about 200 metres. Already had some issues from the snowfall, and again, ice will be a continued hazard. Down to the south, and we have a yellow ice warning to cover for those showers coming into the southwest. Not too concerned about snow here, but with that wet weather coming in, a bit of snow on the hills, but mostly rain here clearing away, then things could be icy on Tuesday morning. So they're the areas we're concerned about for the next kind of 24 hours. But after that, say things could get quite lively, particularly on Tuesday across parts of northeastern and then eastern Scotland. Let's take a look at the bigger picture once more for a look at that. I'll take off the jet stream. We don't need to discuss that too much. Just pause it there. So this is the bigger picture. Low pressure systems kind of circling around the UK, almost like vultures circling around. Which one is going to give us the wintry weather? And it will be wintry because if we look at the temperature profile, we're in the colder air. The jet stream's down here. We are on the cold side of the jet. So the UK firmly ensconced in the colder air, as it will be for the next few days. This is the low that brought the wet weather across the southeast on Monday morning, clearing away. These little features will pep up the showers in the southwest, but now just a glancing blow, not too concerned in terms of snowfall from those. However, as we go through Monday night and into Tuesday, it's this one. This is the one we need to keep a close eye on, developing and pushing its way southwards towards northeastern parts of Scotland. So, if we just zoom in on that a little bit more, the interesting thing about this, you may not be able to tell, but actually within here is some slightly milder air. It's not quite as cold within this low pressure system. You often get that with actually these circulations. The air isn't quite as cold, and just a subtle lift in the temperatures will make the difference between rain, sleet and snow. So that is an area that, as I say, is giving us the greatest focus of our meteorological minds at the moment, because as it sinks southwards, as we go through the early hours of Tuesday morning, not only will it be bringing moisture into the cold air, so some further snow, but the isobars are also squeezing together too. So we are expecting further wintry weather to come across northern Scotland. Showed you this earlier, that's this little circulation, but as we go through Tuesday, the early hours of Tuesday morning, notice how it all sinks southwards, further snow showers to come across parts of northern Scotland. But it's not all snow, there's some blue in there as well. It is rain because that low pressure, as I said, is bringing some slightly milder air, so it's lifting the temperature slightly. It's not clear cut, it's not all snow. But certainly over the hills of northeast Scotland, as it packs in, there will be more snow to come during the course of Tuesday. So that is an area that we need to keep a close eye on, not just in terms of the snowfall, but also those winds also picking up coming into the northeast. So this is the area during the course of Tuesday that we could see snow and strong winds. That means blizzards. So that is an area of concern, and it doesn't stop there. Actually, it will sink its way steadily southwards. If we go back to the pressure chart, but actually fast forward to let's take the jet stream off again. Let's just go through the next, because there's that low, sinking south, sinking southwards, sinking southwards, sinking southwards, and eventually just grazing its way down that eastern side of England as we go through the early hours of Wednesday morning. And look at the isobars, really tightly packed there. So it is going to get quite windy, or very windy. There'll be wintry weather tied into that low, all coming down the eastern side. So Tuesday, northeastern parts of Scotland, but then during Tuesday night, southeast Scotland, northeastern parts of England. If we put the precipitation on and zoom in a little bit, down that eastern side. You can see that low pressure coming in. The isobars closely packed together. It's going to be windy. We'll put the winds on. Yeah, let's put the winds on. A northerly wind bringing that messy mixture of rain, sleet and snow. Now certainly if this is a little bit further westwards, could bring some significant snow across parts of northeast England, eastern Scotland, but equally if it's a little bit further eastwards, wouldn't take much to have really very little impact across the UK. So that is something we need to keep a close eye on as that low develops and pushes its way southwards, bringing the potential for more wintry weather. No matter where it's sitting, those kind of winds in the cold air are going to make it feel bitterly, bitterly cold. It's going to be pretty windy everywhere on Wednesday, but particularly eastern Scotland down to northeast England on Wednesday, significant wind chill. So that is another area we need to keep a close eye on as we go through Wednesday, really feeling very cold indeed. Let's take a closer look at the temperatures over the next few days. So this is Monday's maxima. Generally low single figures. Tomorrow is probably colder still, certainly across the south. Many places struggling to get much above 2 or 3 degrees Celsius. Add on the winds and it feels sub-zero pretty much everywhere. But fast forward to Wednesday, and the winds even stronger down this eastern side. So I suspect that wind chill will be even stronger here, maybe -3, -4. A really cold wind blowing down the eastern side. Again, it does depend on the exact position of the low as to how low those temperatures get there. The daytime, what it feels like with the strength of the wind, but the nighttime temperatures will be low as well. Overnights, tonight's, towns and cities -2, -3 quite widely, that dark blue there across northern Scotland, where there's snow lying on the ground, -10 likely overnight tonight, and probably -8 likely on Tuesday night as well. So some very cold nights to come across northern Scotland. It stays cold pretty much everywhere. Let's take a look now at the bigger pictures again as we go through the rest of this week. We talked about the jet stream being to the south, not really interfering with these low pressure systems. That's the one that sinks its way southwards as we go through Wednesday. But what happens after that? The jet stream is starting to make incursions. We are starting to see a bit of a shift. That low steadily pulling away, and Atlantic weather systems just getting a little closer to the UK. By no means close. And if we just look at it there, so that's the start of Thursday. You can see we're still in the cold air. So the cold weather is going to last. Tightly packed isobars, going to be a significant wind chill through Wednesday and Thursday. The cold weather isn't going anywhere fast. But as the low pulls away, it is actually turning quite a bit drier. There is a little bump in the isobars, a little ridge of high pressure. So yes, there will be wintry showers over the next few days, and I've already been around the country talking about those. But actually the overall pattern as we go through this week, it is slowly turning drier after what has been a very wet start to the year. So it is turning a little bit drier, but staying cold through the middle part of this week. And then what happens, you can see some wet weather in here with this messy weather system. Let's take the temperatures off. That is going to try and push in as we go through Thursday and into Friday, but it doesn't really make much progress. This is a little feature that actually is going to sink to the south instead of moving in across the UK. So it's going to stay cold, but generally dry, although we do have to watch this little weather feature coming in across the north as we go through Thursday. So we know it's staying cold through much of this week. Will we see temperatures rising on Friday? Well, not really. We're not really seeing much progress. There are these weather fronts, they're getting a little bit closer, but it's going to stay generally on the cold side until at least Friday. But you can see behind this weather front, the milder air is just starting to push in and get a little bit closer by the time we get to Friday. These weather fronts just edging a little closer and a little closer. But basically, it stays cold through the rest of this working week, but with ridges of high pressure, it is also going to turn drier. So the greatest risk of snowfall is probably with that low coming south across the northeast on Tuesday and then eastern areas on Wednesday. After that, a few snow showers likely in places, but generally it is turning drier. But when will the milder air arrive? That is the big question. It's cold throughout this week, but eventually it may well turn a little bit milder. And you can see it is going to turn milder from the west. But the question is, when will that happen? Okay, let's take a look at some of the maximum temperature projections as we go through the next few days. If we look at Belfast, you can see here that the temperatures are going to be below average for the rest of this week, as you might imagine, but there is a rise. Friday and into Saturday, we could be up to double figures in Belfast. That milder air perhaps arriving in the west then. Whereas if you look at, by comparison, Norwich, temperatures are going to be suppressed here for most of the week, and even into the weekend, only 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, so below average. So that milder air may take most of the weekend before it gets into parts of the east. And of course, that's just looking at one computer projection. The Met Office model suggesting that even in the east, the temperatures will be rising by the time we get to Sunday. But there is still quite a bit of uncertainty, as you'd expect at this kind of range, about when those temperatures would rise. Let's take a look at some of the other information that meteorologists here at the Met Office like to use. And we'll start with this. This is called a spaghetti plot for obvious reasons. Now, this is when we run the computer models several times. So you don't just get one computer model run, you get many of them. And each of these red lines on here represents a position of where that weather front could be on Friday. So this is for midday on Friday. The UK is in there. Let's just zoom in. This is the European model, ECMWF. There's a closer zoom in. Each of these lines represents a position, a potential position from those model runs of where that warm front could be. This yellow line is where the deterministic model is. So when you just run it once, that's where that is. But when you run it many times, so you get quite a spread. So the warm front and therefore the milder air could be further in across much of the UK by the time we get to Friday. But the most likely scenario is that it's still further west and taking its time to get in. So that spread there, that's what we call the spread, the range of possibilities of where that milder air is by the time we get to Friday. So it's not definitely just going to turn milder, and certainly looks like it's being a slow progression. Here's another way of looking at it. This is also from the European computer model. And this is the probabilities or the chance of temperatures being 2 degrees below average through this week. This isn't where it's going to rain or snow or anything like this. This is representing the probabilities of the temperatures at midday being 2 degrees below average. You can see strong probability over the next couple of days. 99% chance that tomorrow it's going to be below average by at least 2 degrees. But showing signs, those probabilities, the chance just dropping off a little bit as we go towards the end of the week, but still quite a high chance. So more than likely Wednesday, Thursday and Friday that much of the UK will still be at least 2 degrees below average. But just want to highlight there, Northern Ireland, that paler green, the chance here is reducing because of that milder air potentially coming into the west. So greater chance that Northern Ireland starts to see those temperatures rising as we go through. And this is a continuation of that, so through the weekend and then into next week, the probabilities of temperatures being 2 degrees below average as we go through next week, pretty low by this stage. So we are likely to see that milder air pushing in, but notice still a decent chance across parts of the east because that milder air won't have reached by the time we get to Saturday. So still a high chance that temperatures will be a little bit below average. And even on Sunday, that southeastern corner may well still be in the colder air. So it will turn milder through Friday and into the weekend, but it's not a clear cut, straightforward. This is happening really quickly. It could take a while, and therefore eastern areas could still be pretty cold during the weekend. Just want to show you this one because this is the opposite. This is the chance of temperatures being 2 degrees above average as we go through next week, and a much greater chance. You can see we're talking 60, even 80% chance. So signs are that it doesn't just get milder and back to average. Actually, signs are through next week that temperatures will start to rise, and the likelihood is that temperatures will be back above average as we go through next week across a large part of the UK. What's the weather going to be like as we go through next week? Well, here's a way of showing that. This is the stacked probabilities of the most likely pressure pattern, where blue is generally low pressure and the orange and the reds are generally more static weather patterns, often associated with high pressure. The dates going along the bottom here, So for the next few days, those low pressure systems that we saw circulate in the UK will be in control. But as we go through next week, a much stronger signal. We lose the blues, we start to get the yellows and the oranges, a much stronger signal through next week that the weather patterns are going to really slow down, and we're more likely to see those high pressure systems nearby. In particular, this orange chunk represents high pressure sitting right over the UK, and a very high probability there, something like 70% chance that we are going to see high pressure dominating across the UK next week, which means it will still be about average or perhaps a touch above average, but it also perhaps more crucially means that it should be turning drier with these more static weather patterns in place, in particular if we see this one with high pressure dominating across the UK. So broadly speaking, that's where we're at. There are wintry conditions over the next 24 to 48 hours, so please keep up to date with the latest weather warnings. Best way to do that, download our app or visit our website. Let us know in the comments if you like, if you enjoy these kind of more in-depth features about the weather, and if you'd like us to concentrate on anything else. And yeah, as I say, make sure you keep up to date with the weather warnings. If you search for hashtag weatherready, there's loads of tips and advice on our social media channels about how to make sure you are prepared for cold weather or wet weather, or just generally severe weather incoming through the course of this winter. So yeah, thanks for watching. So let us know in the comments what you think about it. Make sure you subscribe to our weather channels, and then you'll never miss a forecast. Thanks for watching.